meeting to order. Monday, August the 7th, 2006, right at 7:05 p.m. For the invocation, we have Bishop Charlie Williams of the House of God Pentecostal Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by the Police Explorers and Councilwoman Bell. Would you all please stand?
Father, in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, Lord, we come before thy throne of grace, thy throne of mercy. Lord, we come, Lord, with the most humble manner we know how. Lord, we invite you into this service this afternoon, Lord, that you will bless in a mighty way. Lord, look on the commissions. Look on those that labor in the city. Lord, that they will be led and directed by you. In all our ways acknowledge you, and you shall direct our paths. Bless them, Lord, in the business at hand, our mayor, our vice mayor, and the members that make up the commission. Oh God, that they will make wise decisions for the city. And Lord, bless it, oh God, according to your riches and glory, that, oh God, the peoples that live and reside in the city, that they will benefit by the work that is being done by these members of the commission. Lord, bless this meeting this afternoon, I pray, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Would you please join me as we salute our nation's symbol of freedom? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Warren?
Here.
Vice Mayor Losner?
Here.
Councilwoman Bell? Present. Councilwoman Garner? Here. Councilman Hodge? Councilman Porter?
Here.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Any additions, deletions, or deferrals, Mr. Manager?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the resolution regarding the Homestead Pavilion Commercial Retail Center has been deferred at their request till August 21st, 2006.
Thank you. Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you. Item 5A is a special presentation.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, we should vote on the deletion, please, on the deferral.
Is the motion by the Vice Mayor, second by Councilwoman Bell. Any questions on the deferrals? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5A special presentation. And I'm going to ask the Mayor, the Vice Mayor, and the Council to join me.
Oh, and Council?
Ladies and gentlemen, on the 22nd of July, the Mayor and Council and the community was privileged to join the Civitans Club in recognizing Chief Alexander Roll as the Citizen of the Year. And it's so fitting this evening to see so many of our law enforcement officers here ones that day in and day out protect, serve this community in such a fine fashion. And several months ago, well, not several months ago, but in December of 2005, I was privileged again to be the guest speaker at the Policeman's Ball, and I read a poem called God's Policeman. And I'd like to share that with the community this evening in the honor of Chief Roll as a Citizen of the Year, but also to recognize the effort and the commitment of all of our law enforcement officers and their sacrifices they make day in and day out for the betterment of our community. God's policeman. You are who you are for a reason. You're part of an intricate plan. Your precious and perfect, unique design calls God's policeman. You look like you do for a reason. Our God made no mistake. He attached you together. He stitched you together within the room. You're just what he intended to make. The tasks you have were the ones he chose, and no matter how you may feel, they were custom designed with God's plan in mind, and they bear the master seal. We know that trauma you face day in and day out is not easy, and God weeps when it hurts you so. But is allowed to shape your heart so that into his likeness you grow. You are who you are for a reason. You've been formed by the Master's hand. You are who you are, a policeman. You're part of God's master plan. Chief Roll, would you come forward, please? And in addition to that, and it wasn't my idea, it was a combination of the manager's wisdom and staff support, that we also like to present, Chief, and the Vice Mayor have it, a collage of clippings in your honor for your leadership and your courage and all that you and your team do for the people of Homestead each and every day. We congratulate you, we salute you, and we ask you to continue to do what you do each and every day, and that's to serve the people of Homestead. God bless you.
Oh boy. First of all, I'd like to say that I was out of town this weekend, and I just got back last night, but as much as police officers talk and gossip, I'm telling you, this got to be the most best kept secret in the history of Homestead. I'm telling you, I had no idea. I really didn't have an idea, and I don't know. I'm just.
Oh, don't pretend to be speechless.
No, seriously, this is the first time in my life I think I've been speechless because I had no idea. I honestly don't know what to think. I saw everybody coming here, my antennas went up, and I'm saying, wait a minute now. I said, and I know Major Kenny has something to do with it. And probably calm because they always, let me tell you, I am so surprised. It's unbelievable. I don't know. I've had so many recognitions in the past week, and then I look at the two pastors sitting there. I'm hoping I'm not getting ready to die. This has been. It's been like a. This is unbelievable. Now I see my daughter and my son and Robert here. And I'm shocked, because my other son, yeah. first of all, I want to thank the mayor and the council because, I mean, you know, you all have been so supportive. It's unbelievable. And the people at Homestead, I'm telling you, I'm to the point where I don't have to sit here and play politics. These people has been behind me 120%. I'm telling you right now. The council, the mayor, city manager, all the staff, and the people that, I wouldn't say work for me, the people that work with me, they are unbelievable. I have never in my life met a group of police officers and co-workers that have been so supportive of their police chief. This is. I'm speechless. I'm serious. I'm looking at I'm looking at the room. I'm saying to myself, you know, man, this can't be real. It can't be real because I'm saying, you know, one person don't deserve all this, and I'm not retired, you know, so it just seemed like a retirement, you know, and I don't know what to say because I just can't thank you all enough, and it's not a one-man show. And I've had so much support and so much help, you know, throughout the years, and anybody that's been in charge of any business or organization, you can't do it by yourself. You have to have good people around you. And I'm telling you, from the mayor down to the trustee, from the prison, it's unbelievable. Everybody has been there for me and helped me get through all these years that I've been police chief, and 27 years I've been in the police department. So I just don't know what to say, but I'm just going to say thank you all. I really appreciate it. You know, y'all good people. And I just hope it's not a going away. I may get the manager may talk to me after the meeting and call me in the morning and say, well, you know, you did a good job, you know, appreciate all the years. Yeah, that's right, I do have a contract. That's right, yeah. Hey, y'all, I'm not worried about that, y'all hear me? I got a contract. In this room, so you know, gotta catch me after the meeting because we got a meeting to do. And again, thank you all. I really appreciate it. And I'm telling you, you all have to be here. This is unbelievable. And let me see, where I made you a little wrong? Is he here? Not here, Chief. Okay. Take him overtime for me because he wiped my money. I can't pay all these people. It's almost budget time. We broke. But thanks again. I really appreciate it. Y'all so nice.
Mr. Porter, we have the introduction of the new police chaplain, Reverend Clinton Terry.
Mayor, just wanted to have the chief step up. This is Pastor Terry is going to be an asset to the police department. He's been a community activist, a friend, an ex-police officer himself. He certainly knows the game, and I respect the chief's wisdom, as always, in what he's done. Chief, could you?
Well, I got one more to do, right? I'll be out through for the night. I'm finished. Okay, one more, then I'll be out of y'all here. Oh, man. Anyway, just want to say a little bit about Reverend Sergeant Clinton Terry before I let him come up here. First, I'd like to say that back in 1979, I'll make it short because I'm overwhelmed tonight. Back in 1979, I was at Miami-Dade Community College, and I was taking a life lab course at the library, and I ran across this fine young man. At the time, I think he was a detective, and I was taking the criminology courses. I was graduating in I think it was June of '79 that year. He was in my class, and I, again, you know, was trying to find out what I wanted to do. he stepped up and he came to me and he said, you know, think you're going to be a police officer with City of Homestead? And I said, well, yeah, you know, if I can get in the door, I'm not too sure. He said, well, let me tell you what I do for you. He said, you come to see me, and I think it was that next day or sometime that week, he said, I'll take care of things for you. And believe it or not, he did. I came to see him. He took my application. He processed it. He did my background. He did my polygraph. I mean, he took the thing, he just ran with it. And lo and behold, 27 years later, you know, bingo, here I am. So, we're just saying that, just give you all the history about Reverend Terry. He was here approximately 10 years with Homestead. And he was a detective here. He was a sergeant. He also was a sergeant of internal affairs. He was a polygraph examiner. And he probably remember this, but I'll share it with you all. In 1974, he was named Officer of the Year for the City of Homestead. He retired after working 13 years with Miami-Dade Police Department. I think he's been retired now for 6 years. But when Chaplain Scott left last week, when I was giving my speech for the Civitan Award, I mentioned in my speech that I wanted to talk to Reverend Terry. He didn't know what it was about. And lo and behold, Major Kenny had just said something to him about it. You know, I didn't even know about it. But I told him, I said, when Chaplain Crow leave, I wanted him to take Chaplain Crow's place. And Monday morning, I got a call. I was going to call him. He called me first, and we started talking about it. And I said, you know what? I said, I wanted to ask you this a long time ago, but I know you were busy. He was a police officer then. He had his own church, Shallow Baptist Church in Homestead. I didn't want to bother him because, you know, it's a lot of work. But anyway, when I asked him that question just a couple of weeks ago, he said, sure. He said, you know, I have no problem. I'd definitely like to come back here. And when some of the guys in the department heard about it, you know, they welcomed him back home. And home is Homestead PD, where he first started. And with that said, Reverend Terry, you step up, please, sir. Tonight, with the blessing of the mayor and council, and also my boss, the city manager, and all the people here, I'm quite sure they probably would love to see someone that was a part of us for so many years to come back and finish up his duty that I think that he told me that he hadn't completed yet. So tonight, Reverend Terry, I would love for you to become Homestead Police Department chaplain, if you accept.
I accept.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chief Rowe. To the mayor, city manager, city council, it is indeed an honor to stand and to be a part of this great city again. All of the people that live and work in this community are living and working in a community that is growing, and people are learning how to get along one with the other. As a pastor, I deal with people and problems every day, but the police in me has never gone away. 32 years of law enforcement experience, which means that all of these uniforms you see here are family. Brothers and sisters in arms, if you want to say that. And I want to say to the Homestead Police Department officers is that I stand ready to assist you in any way that I can. I hope I never get a call to come to some bad problem in your life, but if I do, believe you me, I will be there as fast as I can. I can't run a 3, but I'll be running a 2.5. God bless you. Thank you.
Before you leave, and I want to say it again, thank you for giving me my career. And it's good to give something back, and I remember that. Thank you very much. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Put the check in the mail.
Yes, yes. That's great.
Next on the agenda is the recognition of Police Olympics participant, Homestead Police Department officers, Officer D. Whipple, Officer R. Tate, Officer G. Wright, Officer A. Tanner, and Officer J. Holmes. Mr. Porter.
Me again, Mayor. Just wanted to bring to the public's recognition of some. You mentioned the officers that participated in the Police Olympics, which took place on June 19th through the 24th in Jacksonville, and 4 of our officers went up there, and in addition to 30 other agencies that were there participating. And as my understanding, that they whipped Miami-Dade Police for the bronze medal in flag football. So, congratulations. Just to let you know, they just don't work the streets of Homestead. They are in Jacksonville as well, doing another deed for Homestead beating Miami-Dade. Gentlemen. Good evening, everybody. On behalf of the guys up here, we did go to Jacksonville. We represent Homestead Police Department. However, we had officers from other agencies, Florida City and Sunny Isles PD. Because of the lack of manpower, we were able to hook up and get together, and we represented, I guess I was told that the Sunny Isles Chief of Police spoke kind of highly of us and showed the camaraderie and the leadership and everything that we had. The ability as police officers, not only in Homestead and Metro Bay, but throughout the agencies, we can all come together and have fun and show that teamwork that we can some way, somehow, if anything calamity happens, we all work together as a team. And with that said, we have a medal here for Chief Rowe. We wanted to show our appreciation for him, to him, for allowing us, giving us the opportunity to go up there and represent Homestead PD. Again, we have Sunny Isles, we have Florida City, but we use Homestead PD because we knew we wanted to go and represent Homestead PD. We wanted to put Homestead PD on the map in law enforcement, let everybody know we are a team to reckon. We'll be back next year.
Thank you, guys. I told you something going on. It's good for right now. I hope it stay that way. But hope it's not a goodbye. I appreciate it. That was good. Good. Thank you, guys. All right, brother. You want your mama to say anything? All right. Thank you.
Mr. Porter, you need to stay up there. You have the appreciation and recognition of service with Homestead Police Department, Santiago Jimmy Pineda.
No, Chief, you're on such a roll tonight. If you don't mind, I'd like to go sit down with the council. Is that okay? It's all yours, Chief.
Yes, sir. Hey, y'all kidding me tonight, you know. Oh, boy. Okay. Anyway, they're kidding me tonight. I'm telling you, this is unbelievable. Maybe I'm going with you, Jimmy. I don't know. Trying to give my hint. That's okay. I'll take it. Anyway, just give you the history about Sergeant Pineda. He was hired in May 16th, 1972. He became a full-time police officer in 1976. He was a patrolman, detective. He retired in August 31st, 1995 as a sergeant, but he didn't leave Homestead Police Department. He stayed on as a reserve officer. Sergeant Pineda, he was born in Mexico, and he moved to the United States with his parents, who were migrant workers at the time. Sergeant Pineda, when he came into the United States and with Homestead, he went to school and finished up his degree so he can get his high school diploma. He became a citizen in 1974, and he applied in 1976 with Homestead, and he was able to go to the police academy, and he completed his course in 1976. Sergeant Pineda's life was not atypical compared to the other officers in the department. He had several hurdles to overcome to become the person he is today. We had to say that. It was important. Believe it or not, during his years of service, Sergeant Pineda was a field training officer. He trained me, trained Major Kennedy, Captain Foglia, that I know of, and I'm quite sure he trained a lot of more people in this room. I know he probably forgot about it, but I remember when I came here 27 years ago, you know, I rode with him, and it was a pleasure. I mean, I said it a while back, and I'll say it tonight before I finish this up. But Sergeant Pineda was also a hostage negotiator with our department. Sergeant Pineda was nominated 12 times for Officer of the Month and received numerous commendations and letter of appreciation. He received Officer of the Month 4 times, 85, 86, 90, and 1991. But most of all, in 1985, he received Officer of the Year for the City of Homestead. It gives me great honor and pleasure to personally present a plaque to Sergeant Pineda for his 34 years of dedicated service to the police department and also the City of Homestead. Congratulations. I want to read this, but when I tell you this guy retired in 95, he didn't leave, he stayed here up until just last week. That's kind of rare because usually people retire, they get out of town, you know. This guy, he's extraordinary. Let me tell you, this is a fact. Anybody that been here back in the 80s or 70s would tell you that this guy worked 34 years, and if he complained, he did it silently. This guy never complained about anything that I know of. And again, you know, that is so rare. And I would love to have, I got 99 guys now, I would love to have 99 Sergeant Pinedas. Because I'm going to tell you right now, this guy was a gem to work with. And when you have employees like that who just pretty much do their job, come to work every day, and don't complain about anything. But, however, I got to give thanks to his wife. I've been knowing her just as long as I've been knowing him. And she has been by his side the time he walked in this PD. And they always say, you know, where there's a good man, there's a good lady. And in this case here, that's the God honest truth. She is a good lady. I want to say thanks to you for being there for him for all these years. I'm tired of talking. I'll let Major Kennedy take care of it.
27 years, that's the first. I've heard that he's tired of talking. Sergeant Retired Santiago Pereira, congratulations on your retirement after 34 years of outstanding service to the citizens of Homestead and the Homestead Police Department. May 16, 1972 to July 17, 2006, from Chief Alexander E. Roll, Jr. just want to say a quick few things because Jimmy, like the chief said, he was actually a mentor to me when I first came on the department back in 1980. He was one of my training officers, and I've been around a lot of people over the years. Obviously, Jimmy's been here 34 years with the city of Homestead. If you ever wanted to describe somebody with a heart, it's Jimmy Perneda. Jimmy Perneda would always go above and beyond what is normally expected of a police officer. No matter who he dealt with, no matter what day it was, no matter how bad some personal problems he may have been dealing with, he always put those aside when he came into work. And he always gave 110% to the citizens of Homestead. Personally can say I'm a better person for having met Jimmy and from the experiences I gained working with Jimmy. For 3 or 4 years now, Jimmy's been talking about retiring. He's hemmed and hawed about it. It was actually getting to the point where I thought that he was going to be here another 34 years. He finally called me and said it really had become time, but he felt kind of guilty because he had hung in here post-Andrew. He worked the reserves. We were kind of short manpower and so forth, and that's really the reason he stayed after Andrew, was because of the fact that the city police department was a little bit scaled back, manpower issues and so forth. He came in that day to speak to the chief and I a couple of weeks ago about his retirement. And I pretty much prepped the chief that Jimmy was coming in to do it. But he grabbed me aside, which is typical of Jimmy, and he said, "Hey, Major, understand, if you need me to put it off a little bit longer, I'll do it." I could not do that to Jimmy, because what he's done for the city, the support his family's given him, to make sure that he's available to the city of Homestead, we're extremely grateful. Jimmy is truly, truly a very seriously great guy. I mean, that's the only way I can put it. The guy has great heart. For the younger guys out here, and I look at a lot of the younger guys that are looking to come aboard, if you've ever dealt with Jimmy or see how Jimmy conducts himself, mentor yourself after that, and you'll do fine. Jimmy, thank you very much for 34 years with the city.
I came on the department with Major Kenny in January of 1980, and Jimmy was also my FTO. And I was 22, 23 years old. I came from the Dade County Jail. Jimmy was already a seasoned veteran. I don't know if he remembers it. It was kind of a stupid thing, but as a rookie, he did a lot of stupid stuff. I don't know why, Jimmy. I remember somebody tailgating us in the car. I was driving, did not know my way around Homestead. I grew up in Bryan, Florida. Car was tailgating me. So what did I do as a young rookie? I slammed the car, stopped it, put it in park, and started to jump out of the car to go yell at the driver. He grabbed me by my gun belt, pulled me back in the car, and goes, "What are you doing?" Jimmy, you probably don't remember it, but he goes, "No, you turn around, you stop the car, and you do it the way you're supposed to do it." Just to let, I mean, it's just, after 27 years, I have not forgot that. So anyway, but we were investigators together in the Detective Bureau for years. One thing that wasn't mentioned is that he was our robbery detective. He worked robbery, Jimmy, how many years?
17, 18 years.
17, 18 years, robberies in this town, and did just one heck of a job. And Jimmy, thanks for training me and setting my career up, and we're all going to love and miss you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank everybody in this room, including the councilman, the mayor, city manager, which we go back like 30 years, back to the academy. He was one of the training advisors at the academy, Mr. Kurt Ivey. Chief Rowe, thank you very much. I've enjoyed working here since 1972, when Homestead was a very small town. We maybe had, 10, 15?
Maybe 20.
20-man department. And I've seen Homestead grow over the years. I've been, saw it grow, and if I had to do it all over again, I probably will. It may be in my next lifetime. But 34 years, I think I made the right decision to, this day had to come one of these days, and it's like losing part of my family.
I've been married to my wife 36 years. I've been with Homestead 34. It's a very hard decision. One of these guys is going to make that decision one of these days, and it's very, very hard. It's like losing part of another family. But I had to make that decision, and I would like to thank everybody in this room for your support. Chief Roll, Major Villaranga, Captain Major Kennedy, Captain Foglia. I'm going to miss every one of these guys. I'll never forget them. Captain Kennedy? No, Major Kennedy. I would like to thank my wife for supporting me over the years. It was a very long journey, 34 years of backing me up, not coming home at night, working midnights, working shift work, having her raise a family because I couldn't help her. I had to go doing all this shift work and all these hours going to court. And it's very hard. Police work is a very hard job. I don't know, from experience, a very hard job for the family, for the wife, and she supported me 150%. And she's right behind me right now. And if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't be here either. She has supported me all the way. And without my friends over the years, I'm very thankful, and I'm going to miss every one of them. Thank you very much.
Mr. Porter, you took over the agenda tonight.
Well, the chief has been holding up.
You set a shot clock for you.
Next on the agenda, wait a second.
That's not a show.
Sadly, no, I
Don't have room.
Next on the agenda is the presentation of membership certificates of the Mayor's Youth Council new members, Councilwoman Garner and Councilman Hodge.
I got you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I'm pleased to present 6 new members to our Mayor's Youth Council tonight. If you could come forward when I call your name. We have Daniel Nevea. He's a 12th grader at Homestead Senior High, and he wants to serve on the Mayor's Youth Council to work with his peers in improving our community and help make Homestead a city that others can identify as a well-developed and fine city. Next we have Joseph Vides. Is Joseph here tonight? Joseph is an 11th grader at Coral Reef, and he wants to participate on the Mayor's Youth Council to help the immediate community and develop his public speaking skills. So we'll let you do the talking next time. Okay. Congratulations. We also have Caitlin Scott, an 11th grader at the School for Advanced Studies. She wants to serve on the Mayor's Youth Council to be an active member of the community, and she wants to meet new people. Welcome, Caitlin. We have Amber Woods, a 10th grader at Robert Morgan. And Amber's mother works for the city, so she wants to learn more about how government works and help out in her community as well. Congratulations. Stephanie Moya. Stephanie here tonight? She's an 11th grader at Homestead, so we'll try to get her at the next meeting. And we also have Cameron Davis, an 11th grader at Miami Palmetto. He couldn't make it tonight, but we'll bring both of them back so we can formally introduce you to them. I congratulate all our new members, and we're very sad that we have 10 seniors that are graduating. They're going to be gone after the next meeting, so we'll have more openings. If anyone is interested, check the website or contact me or Norman. Thank you.
Item 5F is the Homestead Main Street update. Yvonne Knowles.
Good evening, Mayor Warren, council members, City Manager Ivy. The Homestead Main Street organization should be probably defined. A few people think I'm representing the Main Street Cafe down on Chrome Avenue. And Main Street is a national organization. Right now, it's 1,600 cities across the United States. We're under the Secretary of the Interior. Our mission statement is economic revitalization and historic preservation. And with that concept, we go forward and try to put together programs that bring people into the downtown district of Homestead and also preserve the historical treasures that are down there. Our programs this last 2 months, we had a salute to Pan American Airlines at the Old Town Hall Museum, well attended. I would like to thank all the local citizens who provided their private collections for this show. It was beautifully done. And we also appreciate the attendance of Vice Mayor Losner, Councilman Hodge, and Councilwoman Bell who came to our event. The August event will be an evening, this coming event in August will be an evening with Glenn Simmons. I know if anybody here knows who Glenn Simmons is, but he's a very rare character in Homestead. Born in 1916, he was one of the earlier poachers, trackers, and skippers in Homestead, and wrote a beautiful book co-authored with Laura Ogden that was called The Gladesman. And he has now authored a second book, and you'll love this title, To Keep from Starving. So he's coming to Homestead Town Hall Museum on August the 17th at 7 o'clock to introduce his new book, and Dr. Ogden will be there also to work with him and to help with the presentation. It will be a roundtable discussion, and I really encourage all who are interested in Homestead history to come down. This will be a wonderful evening of folklore, and also it will be the ending to our summer lecture series. As usual, Homestead Main Street always provides refreshments, so there will be refreshments served this evening. The Homestead Main Street program also, of course, works towards the concept of creating events for people to enjoy downtown. And I have applied to the Miami-Dade County for a Miami-Dade County Department of Cultural Affairs grant. If this is accepted, this will assist us in producing a first-class Hispanic Heritage Festival that will be occurring on October the 14th in Losner Park. This is celebrating the Hispanic Heritage Month, and we expect this to be quite a festival, and we hope that all will enjoy. Also, I have applied to the Miami-Dade County Tourism Development Grant projects for the event called Speed Fest that's occurring in November. This grant will be specifically for the upcoming Speed Fest on November 11th of this year. Homestead is the host city for one of the leading sports events in the world, NASCAR Ford 400. We have partnered with the City of Homestead and Homestead Miami Speedway in developing a unique event that will attract NASCAR and country music fans from around the country. This will be out at the baseball stadium, the sports complex, pardon me. Speedfest will have entertainers Jason Thomas, Confederate Railroad, and Trick Pony, and all participating in the premier kickoff event for the NASCAR Week. Tickets will soon be available on Ticketmaster. And back to the economic revitalization of downtown. I've also applied to Miami-Dade County for a CDBG grant towards a facade improvement program that will benefit the Downtown Historic District, and this will begin in 2007. This will be matching funds for an already approved amount that will come from the City of Homestead. So on that, I thank you very much for your time, and I welcome Reverend Terry because he's our new Main Street Santa. He doesn't know this yet, but I just informed him today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yvonne. I'm going to deviate from the agenda and ask that we have two candidates for judgeship. Would you come forward, and I'm going to give you a few minutes to present yourself, followed by the Vice Mayor will give the council an update on the 1993 agreement. One of our goals is to get court presence in Homestead, and I've assigned the Vice Mayor to look into it for us, so as you go to the polls and vote for these judges, you get an idea. I've asked them that if they get on board, to get on the bench, that we need some support to get a courthouse here in the City of Homestead area. So.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. My name is Patricia Moreno-Pedraza, and it's an honor to be here this evening. Just a little bit about myself, and I thank the mayor for deviating from his agenda. But I've been a practicing attorney here in Miami-Dade County for the past 16 years, and now I'm looking forward to serving the community as a county court judge. I'm running in Group 1. And the election is September 5th, and really, it's so important to get out there and vote. We are encouraging people to go out and vote. The date is September 5th. Early voting starts August 21st. And I hope that when you go out there that everybody will vote for me. And again, my name is Patricia Moreno-Pedraza, and my touch number is 91. And one thing I would like to add is that I'm honored to be endorsed by Mayor Warren. Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting us here tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Don Cohn, and I am a candidate for County Court Judge in Group 40. Mr. Mayor, City Manager, City Council, thank you for allowing us to be here this evening. I have been a practicing trial attorney for over 30 and a half years, both on the state and federal levels. We need judges who care. We need judges who are fair. And I ask for your support on September 5th. Experience is what counts. And I likewise, Mr. Mayor, thank you for your endorsement. It means so very, very, very much. And you mentioned about hopefully there being a court here in Homestead. The public needs access to the courts wherever they are. It's good to be among friends here. Thank you again for your support, and ask you to come out and vote on September 5th. My group is Group 40,
touch number is 118, and my name is Don Combe. Thank you again very much.
The 1993 agreement, Vice Mayor Losner.
Thank you, Mayor, and I also want to thank you for deviating from the agenda. This has been placed under my business. I know that many of those remaining in the audience tonight are here because of this item. What I'd like to do, Mayor, is talk about what we do not want to accomplish tonight. It is not our intention by having this on the agenda that there be any formal council action taken, that there be no public debate or comment, nor any detailed questioning or direction from council. In light of the fact that the other party involved in the settlement of the 93 agreement has begun some extensive, has undertaken an extensive series of public presentations as to their vision for certain changes that they have requested under a proposed agreement and have begun taking public input. I know that many of us have received phone calls, letters, emails, and other comments from the community, and I want to put to rest tonight that we have not yet reached agreement. And at such time as we do reach agreement, there will be full and ample time at that point for complete and open debate among council and input from the public who will be directly impacted by this agreement, whether or not you live on the east side of Homestead. This is a financial settlement. It's a very important, to settle this agreement will be a very important moment in the history of Homestead. This has been a cloud hanging over our head for 13 years now. The manager and I just wanted to let council know that we feel that progress is being made. I mean, we have to remember that we have been diligently negotiating and reviewing versions and amended versions and amended versions of proposals for over a year now. I know that the mayor was concerned that we meet certain time frame deadlines, and I think someone put it very aptly this morning that this should be governed by reaching a deal that's fair and in the best interest of the city of Homestead, not reaching a deal that meets a timeline. And that's what we fully intend to do is to bring forward at the appropriate time a proposal that settles this agreement and is fair to all parties, and certainly in the best interest of the city of Homestead as a business, as well as the people and businesses of the city of Homestead. It may be that within the next 3 to 4 weeks we are in a position to bring a final proposal forward for debate at that time, and there may be more than one opportunity in these chambers to address those issues, and I just want to assure the public that that will be the case, that there is no deal to be kicked around or discussed or voted on or presented tonight. The principals of M&H Homestead Partners, the holder of the other party to the infamous or notorious, I'd like to call it notorious 1993 agreement, have asked for a few minutes to make a presentation on what their vision would be for some reuse. Again, this is neither the appropriate time nor forum to debate that. Just ask that we all listen, and we will certainly let you know when the time comes to address specific issues and not the bits and pieces that are floating around out there in the public domain. That when we have a final, cohesive, and coherent document to discuss, we will bring that forward. Before the parties come forward and introduce themselves for a limited presentation, I'd ask if the manager or attorneys have anything to add at this point.
I have nothing at this point.
Thank you, Kurt. Thank you. Who will be representing M&H Homestead?
Mr. Losman, Mr. Mayor, council members and the audience. First, my name is Steve Shiver, 47 North Chrome Avenue, Homestead. I represent M&H Homestead, and I'm also a partner in the property out there. First, I want to thank you, Mayor, for setting up this process. It has been a long time in coming. It's been well over 18 months that we've been back and forth in a very complex issue. Mr. Losner, Mr. Manager, you've both been very diligent, as Mr. Losner spoke of, in the back and forth that we've had and the pounds of flesh that we've left on both sides of the table, I think. And we, again, Mr. Mayor, thank you for setting up that process. It's been a pleasure working with them. Tonight, I know that there are many people that, through our community meetings that Mr. Losner spoke of, we have done an extensive outreach to educate folks into our vision for the town center itself, as well as the industrial park. For consideration in the next few weeks, as Mr. Losner had pointed out, in the settlement of the 93 agreement, and for the purposes of our presentation tonight, we have chosen to, at the request of the city, and agreed to separate the two applications. Therefore, we will be considering the town center separately on its own merits, because I think that as we continue to reach throughout the community and continue to develop the concept of a town center, we find ourselves better suited to have those public hearings. As proposed, the entire project would answer about $150 million to the city of Homestead over time. And again, the project itself, I think, will stand on its own merits. So tonight, we're going to focus on the settlement of what we've been negotiating back and forth. Again, Mr. Losner, Mr. Ivey, we've probably narrowed it down to 98%, 99% of the points that we've been discussing. And most recently, again, the separation of the two notices of proposed change. But specifically to the Park of Commerce, I want to introduce the team that we've been working with to show that we've actually worked pretty hard on developing the Park of Commerce. And first, I'd like to, if you could just please stand briefly, Mr. Latner, Mr. Rosen, and Judy Brestoff of M&H Homestead are here tonight. Steve Smith is a partner in the industrial park itself. Mr. Smith, thank you, sir, for being here. Ed Redlick, also a sales associate, which I'm going to ask to reference the Park of Commerce development real quickly. Martin Marquez, our architect for the industrial component. Bob Banks, our commercial development real estate analyst, who helps us a lot on our commercial development side. Ed Silva, the architect. Ed, I know you're here somewhere. Ed, thank you for being here, from the architects for the Town Center project. Robin Wells, consultant who came tonight from Orlando. Thank you very much for being here, who did the independent study and the analysis for the ad valorem and the economic impact of the Town Center and the Park of Commerce. Terry Son, who's our attorney for M&H. Terry, thank you, sir. Ma'am, sorry about that. Hank Fondry. Hank is no stranger to Homestead, having worked quite a bit as a consultant in the traffic component here and for many other projects that go on throughout Homestead. Cynthia Wolper, who's the Keys Gate Association president. Thank you. Ben Solomon, who is an attorney for M&H. We thank you for being here. And, of course, Omar Armenteros, who is our guru of planning and engineer for the project in the DRI. And then where's Juan Mayo? Did I say Juan Mayo? Oh, of course. Juan Mayo, right at the top of the list, our attorney for land use in the project within the DRI itself. Some history, brief history, for the last 18 to 24 months, we've been negotiating a settlement for the 93 agreement. Mr. Losner, you're correct. There's bad people on all sides of that agreement. For the record, I was not here when that was actually signed, so I don't think Mr. Losner was here either. So. Right now, Mr. Mayor, you gave us a directive about 60 days ago to enter into an agreement. That directive was for a settlement within 30 days. Mr. Losner, I understand your point that we shouldn't have time dictate such a complex issue for the city, and we agree with that. However, we'd like to begin the process of creating jobs as soon as possible in developing the Park of Commerce. But again, we stand ready to act on that. Although verbally, and we had an agreement on Friday in principle, to a large part of our discussion throughout the last few months. Things have slowed at this point to make sure that we get an opportunity to address all of the issues before us. I know that the manager has asked, and Mr. Losner has asked for additional time to do that, and we stand ready for that. However, I know that, Mr. Manager, you would ask that the closing take place in a very short time frame, and we hope that the closing of the Park of Commerce would be adjusted to reflect the stay tonight that we're talking about. Briefly, I'd like Mr. Ed Redlick of Comreal, our industrial partner, to go through just just the development concept of the Park of Commerce to show that we have, again, developed a pretty comprehensive plan addressing all of the users' needs from the small, I guess there was a boat user at one time discussing having a smaller piece there. I know we've dealt with another company that Mr. Redlick will speak of on occasion, and so it gives you an array of product from dock height to ground level. So very briefly, if Mr. Redlick can address that.
Mr. Shriver, while Mr. Redlick's coming up, I think an important distinction to make for the public is that the land within the Park of Commerce that is at this moment owned by the City of Homestead, due to the AQs, may not ever be utilized for residential development. Well, I think that's an important distinction, is that the land that's owned, which you seek to acquire, would remain commercial, industrial type use.
Yeah, that's correct, Mr. Losner, and as we reflected before in our conversations, we would proffer a covenant that would travel with the property to reflect that as well.
Thank you very much. My name is Ed Redlick, Vice President of Conroe Miami Incorporated, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here this evening. And just a little bit of background on myself. I've come a long way. Grew up in the Redlands. I was born and raised in South Dade County, and started off farming avocados on 5 acres. And now I'm here tonight to talk to you about the Homestead Park of Commerce. And just so you know, ComReal has been in the commercial real estate development business for 27 years. For the past 13 years, I've specialized in industrial real estate in all of Miami-Dade County. It's important for everybody to know that I'm involved with the Community Chamber of Commerce. I'm also the chairman of the board for the Vision Council of Homestead, which, if you're not familiar with Vision Council, it's like the Beacon Council of South Dade County. And we're here to promote economic growth in South Dade County. Some other points are that in the past several years, I've helped companies move and expand to South Dade County. Some is Sea Hunter Boats. They manufacture boats in the Princeton area. I helped the Espineros with Deco Trust grow their company. Consulted with MBRT Construction, a local construction company. Actually, one of my favorites was Sticks and Stein's restaurant, the old Flagler Station restaurant. We sold that on Chrome Avenue, and I helped bring in Sticks and Stein's to run that facility. Another one is Flowers Bakery. In the years 2004 to 2005, I was involved in about $20 million worth of transactions and over 100 commercial acres in just the South Dade County alone. So I like to think I know a little bit about the South Dade industrial market. I've also made a personal investment in Homestead. I've acquired a portion of Redland Professional Park, and I'll touch on that later, but that's given me a good experience knowing firsthand what's going on with South Dade, the industrial real estate market. So let me tell you about our idea. As Mr. Lawson pointed out, we have, my partners have 14 acres, which, if you're familiar with the Homestead Park of Commerce, this 14 acres is just north of the Contender Boats facility right across the street from the racetrack. And it's within the master plan park that we have. The whole park is planned for 132 acres, of which we only have the 14. There's going to be a variety of products that we're going to develop in this project. Out of 135 acres, when this project is fully absorbed in our plans, it'll be about 2 million square feet of purely industrial space. This is not retail space. It's not residential. It's only industrial space. If you notice very faintly, there's some lines, gray lines that go over the park. That is the AQs. That's the protected area along for the Homestead Air Force Base. We're not allowed to do anything other. No office space, no residential, no high density can be in there other than industrial. So under the flight path, that's all that will ever be there. That's all we have planned for this master park. 135 acres, 2 million square feet. When this is fully absorbed, there'll be a total of 7,000 employees that we're estimating could be working just in this park. One reason that I got involved with this project is I've been in the business 13 years, and I've always felt that we didn't get a lot of respect in Homestead. And I've helped companies from Miami move and relocate to Homestead. I believe in this project. I believe in our partnership. I believe in the team we've assembled that we can accomplish this. Just to tell you what we have planned specifically, basically this park is for everybody. We're going to have several different product types. We're going to have flex space. We're going to have industrial dock height loading and street level loading. We're also going to have, if a company comes to us and they need a building built to suit their needs, we can do that too.
I know there's some developers in the audience. We might have the ability to portion out parts of the project. At 135 acres, it's difficult for one developer to participate with. So of these, the product types, we're targeting specific companies. We will target specific companies. One is anybody related into the, for example, we have the auto track across the street, anybody in the auto-related business. In fact, we do have one high-profile company in high performance that they would love to be in the park. We're going to target businesses in the building supply industry. There's a national company that is very large, and they're interested in moving into the Park of Commerce. Another prototypical prospect that we would target and try to get into the Park of Commerce is a company from, they're a Dutch company, and they're FDA approved to manufacture medical-type eye cleaning solutions. And they're looking for 30,000 square foot facility. The building supply company is looking for about 50,000 square feet, and the high-performance auto-related company, they're looking for about 22,000 square feet. So you're approaching 100,000 square feet of space that we have very strong interest in already. Just to let you know, my experience with the Redland Professional Park, which is located in West Homestead, there is a demand for industrial land and buildings in Homestead, but it's not overwhelming. We have to do a lot to market this property, get it going. That's why it's important to have this property master plan. This is a master plan development. It is, what you see here is the culmination of legal efforts, surveyors, architects, and there's a lot more work that needs to be done with this park. There's utilities, there's more zoning and more legal work, there's fill, there's electric and water, and all those things have to be brought in. I think it's important to have a park master plan, because in my experience what happens is if you start piecemealing it out, it's difficult to come in with a single plan and do it correctly. And anyway, I think that wraps up my presentation. So, defer to Steve Shiver here. Thanks.
Thank you, Ed. If there's any questions, we'd be happy to talk about that. I know that we're on a short time frame here tonight. There's a lot that we can talk about. I mean, this has been, again, about 18 months, better than 18 months of discussion. I know, Mr. Manager, over and over again, we said, that it's been the desire of the city to sell this to one entity because of the consistency and because of the development concepts of master planning that Mr. Redlick spoke of. We have spent at this point about $500,000 in engineering and architectural drawings and developing spine roads, and I want to just point out 1 second, which is a very important component of developing an array of product. The Rockefeller Group, in its wisdom, had done for many years, and I admit that I signed that agreement. The Rockefeller Development Group had been going after the large tenants, the 100,000 square foot users, the 500 job creators in one shot. In fact, it prohibited in some circumstances some of the tenants that we have been talking to or the prospects that we've been talking to. In our design and working with Comreal and their experience, it's important for us to be able to develop a spine road here that will allow us an opportunity to develop. This is the 14 acres that we currently own. We are already in design with Mr. Marquez on a building project there. This would be dock height and street level. Here is street level, and then coming to the back, most importantly, are the 1 acre parcels that can be sold individually. That could be a mom and pop shop that comes in to support a pool contractor, development contractor, that currently is very difficult to be a tenant or an owner of the Park of Commerce because of the restraints of the Rockefeller Development Group criteria. That's something that we've talked to your planning staff about, something we've talked to your legal folks about, and we would hope that we continue to go through that as we flesh out this contract. But Mr. Mayor, Mr. Manager, again, Mr. Losner, we stand ready to close on the Park of Commerce in whole. We stand ready to develop this park with pride as a major investment that we have already in 75 acres in the Park of Commerce, and actually putting basically our experience, our money, and our time in developing this project. We look forward to a long-term relationship with the city, and we are truly partners in that respect. I know that the city has been dealing with this for many, many years. The 93 agreement itself, I came on the scene about 2 years ago, and we've been around the state trying to find a concept that works. I believe we found that. So we look forward, Mr. Manager, Mr. Mayor, we look forward to getting this done. If there's any questions or discussion, we'd be happy to answer that.
Thank you, Mr. Shire.
Any comments?
Yes.
No, Mr. Hodge?
I guess you can tell me what I can and can't ask. No, I'm sorry, not for you, Mr. Shiver. It was for Mr. Losner. We have a presentation here, but we have no agreement. So, first of all, let me compliment you for what you've been going through for the last couple of months. I can only imagine. I think I'd probably rather have root canal. I can imagine the work it's been.
I've had both, and you're right.
Couple of things. There's been no agreement, and you've been working on this for 60 days. Do you think that we're going to come to an agreement? I mean, I guess obviously it's gone back and forth, and we've had meetings and call off and meetings and call off, so I hate for people to keep showing up and then having to go home and keep showing up and having to go home. So, I mean, I think I need to, tell me, what do you think? What's your gauge?
I am hopeful that we can bring an agreement for full and complete discussion amongst ourselves and public input in the very near future.
Okay.
We may find ourselves, and when I say we, I'm referring to myself and Mr. Ivey, may find ourselves in a position where, and I'm pulling numbers out of the air, but it may be pretty close, that we have a 97% agreement, and that 3% is the difference between settling or not settling. I would envision that if we're in that situation, we may come to council to either make the decision to stand firm on the outstanding issues, or by vote of council in the interest of fully settling the agreement, to move forward more along the lines of those items of disagreement that the other party to the agreement may suggest. I don't want to be in that situation. Clearly, if Mr. Ivey and I bring an agreement forward that we recommend be adopted, certainly that does not preclude any member of council from objecting to a certain provision, or from the public having their input on those provisions. But having said all that, I think we've come far enough that we can expect one of those scenarios, barring some major issues, in the next, and in light of the fact that many of us are away the rest of this week, probably 3 weeks. I'm one of them, so I can wag fingers at attorneys on both sides and say, we can sit in a room and we can talk about what we may have agreed to, but when the drafting comes back, we sometimes wonder who was in the room, wonder what happened. I think all of us can appreciate that. No disrespect to counsel on either side. That's and much of the time that's been spent has been legal wordsmithing, if you will. This is a very complex agreement. If it were not a complex and ambiguous agreement, we would not be having this discussion tonight. And to sort through the minutia of the basic agreement and the half a dozen or so amendments that have occurred over the last 13 years, it's a very tedious, it's almost like, I guess I would imagine, building a watch in Switzerland somewhere on the side of the mountain. Everything has to fit together very, very tightly, and pressing on this issue over here pops another issue out over here. So does that answer your question?
Somewhat.
Okay.
And I have a couple more questions and a couple comments as well. And you can tell me if I can't expound on that or not. Just let me know. What's been troubling is because we keep reading articles in the newspaper and articles in magazines and articles that just kind of like are almost assuming that the Park of Commerce is sold. Mm-hmm. And it's troubling because then I get the phone calls, what's going on? Because the articles are just almost as if it's just a done deal. And I'm like, well, we are the council. We haven't voted on anything yet. So that's very troubling to me that I'm constantly reading these articles. Another thing that's been very troubling to me is often in the articles, and even I heard it said tonight, I heard it says we have to do a lot to market this property. And the Park of Commerce is a hot commodity right now. I've met with 3 people just in the not too recent time who want to buy the whole thing right now for top dollar, and so and have plans for it. So I think that should be out there as well, to let people know that. And we've been holding up, if you will. And my concern is that we've been holding up the Park of Commerce. We've been holding up the sale for the resolution, and I would like to resolve it quickly as possible so that we can get the Park of Commerce sold. I know we've been budgeting the Park of Commerce, and so I really would like to, work on this sale, no matter whom we sell it to, but we need to sell it so that we can get industry, we can get this, these jobs in the community, and we can get this on the tax rolls. And since I've been elected going on 3 years, we've been talking about that, and I know that there are so many entities interested in this Park of Commerce and hot and ready to go. And so I just think that we need to keep that in mind. And I also would like to develop jobs as soon as possible in the Park of Commerce. But I don't want anybody in the community to assume that this is a done deal, or one group automatically gets it because they give a presentation. That's just not the case. And we need to have good discourse on this as well. And I just really think that, and it is true that the land that is currently in the Park of Commerce would remain commercial. That's absolutely true. But I just think that we really need to keep that in our mind, that we have been keeping this off the market. And I just think we need to hurry up so we can get this on. I mean, and you're doing everything you can, and I am not.
I agree with your concerns and those issues that trouble you.
Yeah.
I'm troubled by it too. I mean,
and the articles say very troubled Park of Commerce, lagging, sagging, all these comments that nobody wants it. And I'm like, I've sat with these people who want to buy it. I've sat with them over and over again for over 2 years. 3 different groups who want to buy it, and they're like, we'll take the whole thing, we'll take pieces, we'll take whatever you give us, and we keep slamming the door in their faces and saying, no, come back later. So, and then we read the articles about, like I said, the sagging, lagging Park of Commerce, and that is not true. The interest is there for this Park of Commerce. And so I would like to see resolution to this. And can we separate, is it possible, and if I can't go there, let me know, but can we just separate the discussion on the 93 agreement from Park of Commerce? Does it have to be discussed together?
that is at the point of evolution we're at now.
Okay.
That the Park of Commerce is very likely a very integral part of a settlement proposal. And I don't want to develop that any further.
Okay.
I don't want to
Until it comes back here.
Unlike has been, the items that trouble you, I don't want to put things out there piecemeal. I want to do it one time, in full, not let's make a deal.
That's fair enough.
Let's, put it out there at one point. And again, I share your concerns about timing, and it's time for something to happen in and with the Park of Commerce, and I would love to see it on the tax rolls January 1 of next year.
Absolutely.
Realize whoever we sell it to. Certainly, Kurt and I had the discussion today that we need to have a closing by December 28th so that it's clocked in, and we've got, in excess of $10 million on the tax rolls on January 1. I see head shaking in the audience. No, that's not reasonable, but you know what? If these proposers end up with it, they are intimately knowledgeable of every pebble in that park, and that's an issue that we're going to grapple with as well as the timing of a closing on the park.
Okay, I guess I'll just leave it at that for now. There's probably a lot more I would like to ask.
I see the light at the end of the tunnel. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Vice Mayor, Mr. Shiver, the mayor's patience is going very short. And the Vice Mayor mentioned about 3 weeks. I'm looking at the calendar. Can we all agree that by the meeting on September the 5th would be the drop date that either you come back with an agreement. I think the Vice Mayor said a 97% agreement, but I'd like a drop deadline date on this. You'll have 3 weeks from tonight. And I know there's...
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Losner, and Mr. Manager.
Should be able to do it by September 5th.
Well, again, we stand ready. I said that very clearly. I know
we'll use our best efforts, and I think we always have used our best efforts to reach these time frames.
We stand ready to work with the manager, Mr. Losner, as you've directed us to. So, and the closing by December 31st.
We're clocked in on December 31st or before.
We're ready.
If you close on December 31st, I see these clerk stamps on the 2nd, and that doesn't get us on the tax rolls.
Clocked in, very well noted, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Is that a realistic date, Mr. Manager?
You said it, we'll do it.
Let's shoot for September the 5th.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Shriver.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor, for your hard work. I know you put in a lot of hours from your business to bring it this far. We appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you. Charter review.
Charter review, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, first a bit of history for those who weren't at the dais with us 5 years ago and for those in the audience. We're again doing a charter review process, doing some tidying up of loose ends from a few years ago and addressing issues that have evolved in the last 4 to 5 years with the tremendous growth in our community. Mr. Mayor, time grows very short. We have to, as a council, and this may be very interesting, and for those of you who are here who are residents of the community affected by the 93 agreement, it may be wise for you to sit just a few more minutes and listen to some of the concepts that the Charter Review Committee has designed. In any event, Mr. Mayor, in order for these charter questions to be placed on the November general ballot election, they must be finally approved in the form of the question approved by this council by September 8th. So we'll be also addressing these either on the regular meeting on September 5th or even perhaps a special call meeting prior to that. In keeping with the process of 5 years ago, the council at that time wanted an initial review of the concepts coming out of the committee before we went out into the community and did our town hall meetings, wherein we discussed the proposals so that we could take public comment and come back to council for final adjustment and approval. And what I'd like to do tonight, and as quickly as possible, as we're already well into the 8 o'clock hour, is talk in terms of the concepts and get your preliminary approval, not of the specific language in the ballot question. And I want to point out that as a result of some of the action taken this morning, some of the ballot questions previously passed by the committee will need to be adjusted so that they mesh with the proposals that have come out of the committee as of this morning. But what I'd like to do is discuss briefly with you the concepts that have been approved and get your tacit approval for going out in the community and discussing these issues. The first charter review question that has been passed by the committee was to remove the internal auditor's position from the charter and have the charter provide that the council shall by ordinance determine the nature and extent of an internal auditor from time to time. Historically, Mayor, it was your proposal and a great public outcry in light of the financial situation that existed in our community several years ago, that we have, someone, a second set of eyes, if you will, looking over the day-to-day financial activities of the city. And clearly, as we've grown through this, any day that we do not have an internal auditor in place is in fact a violation of our charter, which is as close to being carved in stone as is possible. And the committee, by unanimous vote, elected to put before this council and the public ultimately that the internal auditor position not be removed, but be taken from a charter mandate to provided by ordinance that was required by charter. Would you like to make comments on each point, or would you like me to go ahead and cover the entire spectrum? It might be easier, since there's so many different issues, to hit it point by point. So that's my discussion on the internal auditor position.
I have a question for you on that. Since the citizens, if I remember correctly, that particular provision, correct me if I'm wrong, that particular provision got the highest vote. Is that right?
It may have. All of them passed with at least 80% or better.
If we, since the community so adamantly wanted this, will the community perceive this, that now we're taking it out of their hands? And I see your point that because we didn't have one for so long.
It doesn't say we don't have to have one. It just says that we'll create an ordinance that provides for one.
So if we create an ordinance, because I really like this position and I'm very pleased with it, and as I'm sure you are, and my concern would be if it's an ordinance and then we have a council that says, we don't think we want an internal auditor position anymore, then would that enable this particular council to just zap it away, take it away, and that because now it's no longer in the charter, and the charter mandates it, now it's an ordinance. An ordinance can simply be changed.
That's true. Richard, I don't think the nature and extent of the charter question allows a future council to dispense with the internal auditor. It gives you more leeway to have a consultant on a case-by-case basis. It gives you the leeway to have a part-time person or a full-time in-house person, as we have now, for example. It doesn't allow you to wipe out the position. It allows you to be more flexible to address the needs of the city from time to time.
Okay.
That is a very good point.
I just don't ever want, because the internal auditor is actually a protection built in for the citizens of Homestead as well as for us. And I love the idea that we have somebody looking into every different department and helping us as far as finding weak points, finding where we could do things a little bit better, finding where we're not terribly financially efficient, and cleaning that up, and finding maybe where, real problems. So I just don't ever want it to be perceived that the voters voted on that and now we're taking it out of their hands.
And that's part of the public education process. Certainly we're not going to go out and throw something on the ballot without an exhaustive series of taking public input. And it may be that the public input tells us, don't fool with it.
Okay, and also, as long as we have a type of binding ordinance that, like I said, a future council couldn't come along and say, we don't think we need an internal auditor anymore, and those safeguards are just gone. So that's my only concern about ordinance. Because the life of an ordinance...
It's only as good as a council that can revoke it.
That's right.
Yes.
But I don't think you could bind that future council to an ordinance, could you? So with a majority of 4-3 vote, you could change that.
But the proposed charter provision would mandate that the council enact an ordinance and have something in place to provide for an internal auditor.
Oh, okay. So the actual
charter says you shall enact.
Not you may, but you shall.
That's correct. There's a difference between shall and may, as we know.
Absolutely.
And again, this is one that clearly, I think you can make a case for either side, and I'm just asking for your direction in going out into the public and taking their input. One of the committee members, I think, put it very well, is that, hindsight's sometime more 20/20. You have to put this in context of what was going on in 2001, 2002. And there are some things that just don't belong in a charter, such as, the example of the pregnant pig in the Florida Constitution. Some on the committee have suggested that this is Homestead's pregnant pig.
Really?
Absolutely. That it may be a necessary item, but it's not necessarily should be in the charter.
And okay, so I would be comfortable on the change only if the charter provided that we must have an internal auditor.
Well,
But then the council can provide for how that...
Following our next charter review meeting, which will probably be the last substantive meeting before we have, as a result of the change that's in the pipeline from today's meeting, what we'll do is circulate the actual ballot question so that you can read it and compare it to your version of the charter before we have final action on that.
That would be good. Thank you.
The next issue, and this is an issue that was deliberated at length during the last charter meeting 4.5 years ago, was whether or not council members should serve all council members should serve a 4-year term rather than a 2-year term. It was the vote of the committee to put before the public the question as to whether or not, commencing with the election of 2007, that would be the next Homestead election, that those elected would begin serving the 4-year term. Now there's what we might call a glitch bill built into that. That's one of these issues that may change. But there will be provision in that final question such that under some mechanism, call that in the next election, 4 council members will be up for election. In order that there is balance in every subsequent year, there will be a safeguard such that 3 of those being elected in 2007 would receive a 4-year term and 1 would receive a 2-year term, so that in the next election cycle in 2009, you would have 3 council members up for election, so that in every 2-year cycle, you would have 3 seats up for election. It's necessary to have that transitional seat where one of the 4 in the next election would receive only a 2-year term if the public signed off on a 4-year term for everyone beginning with the next election. Anything from my right so far? Okay.
How do you determine who of the 4 gets the...
We thought we had that nailed down as a result of some deliberations this morning. The new provision will be drafted, and we've got to go back and do a cleanup provision. Since that's not been adopted yet, I don't want to talk about that. Absolutely, and there was a full hour of conversation this morning about that, about how that gets determined, and there are a couple different options, and depending upon whether or not the last issue is adopted at the next meeting, that will determine how that goes. The committee has determined to put before you for approval by the public that commencing with the election of 2009, that the mayor shall thenceforth be elected for a 4-year term. Not now, as opposed to council members commencing in 2007, that the mayor's term be extended to a full 4 years from its current 2 years beginning in 2009.
Vice Mayor?
Yes.
On the, so I'm going back now, my wheels are spinning. I'm going back to all council members having a 4-year term.
Yes.
And I know the discussion on it because of I've been reading all the minutes in charter review and actually attended a couple of them. I'm probably going to be way outnumbered here. I like a couple of council members getting a 4-year term and a couple of council members getting a 2-year term. And I think that it's a good check and balance for the community, and that the community lets us know whom they choose for the 4 years and then whom they choose for the 2 years. And I think that that's a good, healthy check and balance. And I am a little concerned about changing that. I do agree that whomever is the mayor, and I agree with you that it shouldn't be with this next election because it's too close. It should be a phase-in. I think that's very smart.
And the fairness issue was raised there as well.
Right. Absolutely. I agree with that. And I just think that, I know our members of the State House have to run every 2 years. And I think and I understand the argument, because I've really thought about this. I understand the argument that it's almost like every year you have an election year. You're running, and things get stalled and business gets put off. But that's just because that happens. That's not right. You should be who you are the day after you're voted into office. You should be the same person that you should vote the same way and be the same person the day before you go back into office. So if things are being stalled, they just shouldn't be. That just shouldn't be. So I do have a bit of a reservation about everybody getting a 4-year term. Probably going to lose this one, but I'm used to that.
And tonight's not win or lose, and again,
I know
remember that every 2 years, there is the opportunity to remove 3 members.
Right, and I just think that's the community's way of deciding who they want. And I think when they give a person the 4 years, they're putting the trust in that person for 4 years. When they give a person the 2 years, they're trusting them, but they want them to be up for election in 2 years. I think that gives the voter a lot of choice. And I'm really for the voter's choice in this situation. So that's just my input on that.
And that's the purpose of the public meetings, to get their input before we put it out there.
Thank you.
You know, we need their input. We work here kind of in a vacuum, and the Charter Committee kind of does as well, and we just want the opportunity to go out there and take public input. A couple of cleanup provisions. That the future annexation areas would automatically go into the adjacent neighborhood, and that's kind of a cleanup that says we can't create new lines or add to districts in an election year. This would be an exception to that if something just happens to be annexed in. Look, we know that our annexation processes are going 2 and 3 years duration, that, you know, we're saying ahead of time without determining, you know, personalities, that it goes to the adjacent district. Somewhat related to that, there's also a provision that would clarify the requirement. Let me back up a moment. In order to create new neighborhood districts, that is a charter amendment that has to be approved by the people. The charter currently gives this council the ability, by ordinance, in a non-election year, to make adjustments to the lines of particular districts. But this next issue clarifies that if a council does that, it must do that with a supermajority of the members voting on that issue. So rather than 4 of the 6 of us here tonight, it would take a vote of 5 of the 6 of us. And again, it goes back to a safeguard, that it's less likely that you're going to target someone in or out of a neighborhood seat by adjusting the lines in an off year. It still does not allow us or a council in the future to adjust those lines in an election year, but it clarifies that it must be by a supermajority. Okay. One of the issues that's out there, this never passed the committee 5 years ago, but it did in this instance, and I'll say there's a caveat there. We've not had final discussion on some proposals that have been brought forward, and we will have that final discussion at our next meeting. But the current state of affairs is that there is a proposal that's been adopted that would allow all council members, whether or not they are up for election in a given election, it would allow them, unless they elected not to, it would allow their name to appear on the vice mayor ballot if the manner of choosing the vice mayor is still by election. Let me put it in a real-world example. In this last election, Councilwoman Bell could not appear on the ballot, was not up for election because she was in the middle of her 4-year term, and could not appear as a choice on the vice mayor ballot, as I could not when she was elected 2.5 years ago. This would allow any sitting council, and this is, you know, particularly more substantial if everyone is elected to 4 years. You have an election where you're automatically sitting out an election cycle. This would give the community, I think the rationale of the committee is it would give the community a choice from among everyone, not just those who are up for election. I mean, you could have a situation where there are only newcomers vying for seats, and the public may not be comfortable in the future as we build out and become more mature as a community, be comfortable in only being limited to that political gene pool, if you will. So, you know, and Mr. Porter's been in this situation as well during, you know, a couple of 4-year terms he's had where his name could not appear. And what this does, it allows everyone to have a shot at at being named to that vice mayor post at any election cycle. Now, again, that may change. There has been some discussion on the committee. We've not had full and final discussion as to whether or not the vice mayor, there'll be a proposal that would undo what was enacted last time, wherein the public chooses the vice mayor rather than council. But this is something that we may see. And finally, there is a provision to recognize that when the seat, and we'll personalize this for a moment, the neighborhood seat that Ms. Garner currently holds, when it was created, there was no Waterstone, there was no Oasis, no Bay Winds, no Crystal Lake. It was only Keys Gate as we know Keys Gate today. Clearly that neighborhood seat is not fair to the new residents throughout, and there have been some proposals that have not been finally adopted, but that would, over the period of the next 3 years for the 07 election and the 09 election, phase in neighborhood seats, whereby, I'll go ahead and tell you, it's not been adopted, I just want to give you the example, kind of, you can work through it, that the seat currently held by you, Ms. Garner, would be limited to what we today know as Keys Gate. Everything north of Keys Gate, all the way up through the north end of Waterstone on the east side of town, east of the Turnpike, would be, for the 2000 election, the second east side seat. 2007. In 2009, that seat would again be split at Campbell Drive, such that the Waterstone build-out would have its own neighborhood seat. Now, I'm hesitant to go any further because it hasn't been finally adopted, but I just want to tell you that the committee was very strong and unanimous in providing for the ability of the holders of the current at-large seats, one expires in 07 and one expires in 09, provided for the ability of the seat holder at that time, prior to those elections of whatever at-large seat is left, the ability to again seek a council seat if that seat holder chooses to do so for one election cycle, such that there's no, districting out of office, if you will. We're not precluding the opportunity for those seat holders to seek a council seat. We talked in terms of fairness and phasing in, and there is a scenario before us that the attorneys are drafting now. There is a safeguard. There's a couple of different ways we could go with it, but as I foresee, based upon the activity we had this morning, that phase-in will not be enacted without those fairness safeguards built in for the at-large seat holders. Finally, there's the ability of this council to move neighborhood lines, and that is by ordinance. The committee determined that perhaps it would be helpful for it as an independent body to make its own recommendations to council for the adjustment of lines. For example, in Ms. Garner's district, there is a neighborhood that did not exist 5 years ago that is split, just by virtue of the way it was described 4 years ago. Part of the neighborhood lies in Ms. Garner's district, and the other part lies in the village's seat, which is a seat held by Mr. Porter. Those kind of adjustments, we've also are proposing adjustments to decrease the size of the southwest area, and as vacant lands that are presently allocated to the southwest seat have become built out, some are moved into the village's seat. The south line of the northwest area is moved substantially southward, and based upon our planners' projections and what's been approved in the land use maps as they exist today, ultimately by 2009 we will end up with 6 neighborhood seats whose populations are roughly equal based upon what we know today of what the build-out, the maximum build-out could be. And so, while we've tried to maintain traditional voting blocks and have respect for neighborhoods, we've recognized that a couple of the districts are way out of kilter with the others, the relative sizes, populations, mix of housing, and so forth. That will be a recommendation from the committee to council to enact ordinances, which can be done anytime through the last business day of this year. We cannot, by ordinance, adjust lines in 2007 because it's prohibited as an election year. What I'd like to do is circulate for our next committee of the whole meeting. It's very difficult to look at the maps and get a handle on what's going on, and it's probably best addressed if at the next committee of the whole meeting we have the large map before you and we have some maps that are about this size where you can have at the table, and I can discuss more fully the pending recommendations. Those are not as time sensitive as the ballot questions because these can go by ordinance through the end of the year. I do want to get everything on the table though, and again, the purpose of this briefing tonight is to get some consensus, if you will, on what issues this council will permit to be taken to the public for input at this time, with that September 8th deadline in mind. So I would entertain any further comments or questions.
Good job.
Thank you. It's been very difficult, but as always, it's very rewarding. Appreciate it.
Glad to hear the East Side will be getting more representation soon.
Absolutely, absolutely. Again, I don't know that even the word Waterstone was in our vocabulary when this was enacted. Certainly it's just when you look at what was in place then and what's in place today. 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, we all knew and recognized that growth was coming. I don't think any of us ever anticipated the velocity of the growth, that we would this quickly be revisiting not only the lines that exist, but creating additional neighborhood seats. Not new council positions, but new neighborhood seats. So I'd at least like some indication that we can go forward and begin to schedule some town hall meetings out in the community. And certainly, any of you are welcome to attend. They'll be publicly, as any of you who want to drag yourself here at 8 o'clock on any given Wednesday morning to attend. And Councilwoman Bell has a couple of times, and I'm sure found it very entertaining and interesting. Very enlightening.
I would have a baseball bat.
Thank you.
Proceed with the town hall. I'll be interested in the comments from the community.
Certainly, and that's crucial. I would not be comfortable taking action or asking you to take action without having the opportunity for the public within the context of smaller public meetings to give us their input. So we'll proceed. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
That's all I have on that issue. Thank you, Mayor. Okay, next item on the agenda is the consent agenda.
I will move it.
Second. We have a motion by Councilwoman Bell and a second by Councilman Hodge for approval. Any discussion from council? Any public discussion on approval of the consent agenda? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The ayes carry. Mr. Attorney, item 7.
James, you've been sitting so patiently. Why don't you go ahead?
This is a quasi-judicial hearing of your agenda. Please be advised the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment upon any of these items, please indicate the item number you would like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after each applicant and staff have made their presentations on each item. Swearing in. All testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish to be either cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the council to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. The full agenda packet on each item is hereby entered into the record. And persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization. Further details of the quasi-judicial procedure may be obtained from the clerk. In accordance with Code Section 2-591, any lobbyist must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, council members must disclose any ex parte communications concerning any items on the agenda. Hearing none, at this time, the clerk will swear in any persons who wish to testify on any of the quasi-judicial items.
Please stand and raise your right hand. I state your name. Hereby swear or affirm that the information I present shall be the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 7A.
7A is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request of Turnpike Homes, LLC, for a 6-month extension to their previously approved site plan for Hacienda Grande, located on the northwest corner of Southwest 320th Street and Southwest 157th Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A, a 19.83-acre site consisting of 88 single-family units and providing for an effective date.
I'll move it.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval by Councilwoman Bell, seconded by Councilman Hodge. Is there any initial comments or questions from council? Is the applicant present? Would the applicant wish to make a statement, or anyone on behalf of the applicant? Any further questions or comments from council? Any public comment on this matter? Close the public hearing. Madam Clerk?
Councilwoman Bell?
Yes.
Councilman Hodge?
Yes.
Councilwoman Garner?
Yes.
Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Mayor Losner, Vice Mayor Losner, sorry.
I'll take it. Yes.
Item 7B is a second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request of ARMA LLC for a rezoning from G General Use District to R3 Multiple Apartment District, also granting site plan approval for a multifamily development located south of Northeast 11th Street and east of Northeast 6th Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A, an approximately 2.13-acre site consisting of 21 dwelling units and providing for an effective date. This is second reading.
A motion.
Moved by Councilman Hodge. Is there a second? Second. Second by Councilman Porter. Any questions from council?
Comment, Mayor.
Ms. Bell?
Thank you. I wanted to comment, this is a second reading, and normally I would have opposed such a high-density project. I have driven by this site, I've taken a look at it, taken a look at what's in the surrounding community. This developer has bent over backwards, working with our planner, with our staff, urban design guidelines, everything that's been asked. This is a beautiful project for this particular area. It's a very, very blighted area, and I like this. I like what they're doing here, and while I would normally oppose something that's this level of density, which is about 10 units to the acre, I really like what they did, and I like the cooperation, and I appreciate that, and this is going to be a huge improvement to this area, so I want to be on record as saying, well, I normally don't go over my 6 or so. This is good. And it's right by the busway. So it's a perfect use for a traffic corridor. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Councilwoman Bell. This is a public hearing. Any comments from the audience? Any comments from the audience? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Hodge?
Yes.
Councilwoman Garner? Yes. Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bell?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 7C is a second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request of Pablo and Maria Medina for a rezoning from G General Use District to R2 1 and 2 Family District for property located at 950 Northeast 14th Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A, and providing for an effective date. This is second reading.
Now move it.
Moved by Councilwoman Bell, second by Councilman Hodge. Any initial comments from council? Any comments? This is a public hearing. Any comments from the audience? Any comments from the audience? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Garner? Yes. Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bell?
Yes.
Councilman Hodge?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 7D is a second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request of Country Gardens LLC for a rezoning from AU Agricultural Use District to R1 1 Family Residential District, also granting preliminary plat and site plan approval for a single-family residential development located on the west side of Southwest 137th Avenue, Tallahassee Avenue, between theoretical Southwest 300th and 302nd Streets, as legally described in Exhibit A, an approximately 18.7-acre site consisting of 100 single-family dwelling units and providing for an effective date. This is second reading.
Moved by Councilman Hodge. Is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Second by Councilwoman Garner. Any comments from council? Any comments? This is a public hearing. Any comments from the audience? Any comments from the audience? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bell?
Yes.
Councilman Hodge?
Yes.
Councilwoman Garner?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Motion carries.
That concludes your quasi-judicial section of your agenda. Moving on to item number 8, legislative matters. There are no resolutions. B, under ordinances. B1 is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, providing for a 12-month extension to the 12-month building moratorium enacted by ordinance number 2005-0731 on issuance of certain development orders and development permits within the Northwest neighborhood, generally located west of US 1 to the western boundary of the city and north of Maury Drive to the northern boundary of the city, as shown on Exhibit A, exempting specified single-family detached residential, commercial, office, industrial, and other specified uses, and providing for an effective date. This is second reading.
I'll move it.
Moved by the Vice Mayor, second by Councilwoman Bell. Any questions from council? If not, I'll open for the public. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bell?
Yes.
Councilman Hodge?
Yes.
Councilwoman Garner?
Yes.
Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 8B2 is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the City Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 30 zoning Article 1 generally Section 30-1 definitions to amend and create definitions relating to commercial development standards, amending Article 2 administration Division 2 procedure for zoning amendments, special exception permits, plan unit developments, submittals, and variances to modify the commercial development application and review process and to modify the unified site plan review process as applied to commercial developments, amending Article 4 supplemental district regulations to establish new commercial development standards as Division 9 of the City Code of Ordinances, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date. This is second reading.
Moved by the Vice Mayor, second by Councilwoman Garner. Any questions from council? Any comments? If not, I'll open the public hearing. Any comments from the audience? Any comments from the audience? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Bell?
Yes.
Councilman Hodge?
Yes.
Councilwoman Garner?
Yes.
Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Motion carries.
B3 is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending ordinance number 2005-0934, providing for an amendment of the city budget for the fiscal year which commenced on October 1, 2005, in order to increase both the revenue and expense items of various funds within the project by carrying forward encumbered capital project funds from the prior fiscal year, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I'll move this, Mayor.
Moved by Councilwoman Bell. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Porter. Any question? Budget amendment, any question? If not, I'll open up for the public. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Hodge?
Yes.
Councilwoman Garner?
Yes.
Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bell?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Anything else? I think that's it.
That's it, Mr. Mayor.
This is the time for any public comments. Any public comments at this time?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. A while back, I guess 2 years ago, the process behind our house started in Eastlake, and we've been working with Kareem Homes. Back in June, they had come to a final land excavating of where they're going to be until they build the houses. And we've had the berm issue before you guys for time and time again. Our problem now is, and if I may bring this up, it's the developer built the berm, but on our side of the property, they left us with rock. I guess they're probably 4 inches in diameter. You can't dig through them, you can't plant on them, you can't do anything but go out there and look at the rocks. And we're asking the city for help. We've gotten no response from the developer other than they've done all they're going to do. And I think Rick can answer that they have insinuated in all their discussions that they were always going to come back with dirt and sod to some extent. I would be happy if they'd give me dirt that I can go buy sod and put it on, but I can't do anything with what they've left us with back there. And I'm one of, I guess, 23 homes that border that. And we're looking at the city for help. I talked to Kurt about it. I don't know if maybe the attorney can tell us if we can hold up permitting until this is resolved or something back there. But what they've left us is, I'm looking at an expense value of $4,000 out of my pocket to fix a problem that they created. I don't know where to go.
What staff comment? Was there a commitment from the developer to do something different?
Mr. Mayor, to the best of my recollection, they'd agreed to put on side, as John said, to a certain degree. They haven't.
Any contact with them yet?
The last couple of times I had contact with them, I got the impression they were going to. Obviously, John's had more contact with them. I can contact them again, but as far as I'm concerned, I think John's correct. They had basically agreed to put dirt and sod. They have not at this point in time. I'm not too sure if we can go to COs or whatever the case, but I have no problem contacting them again, reminding them, mentioning that they got brought up again tonight, and that for practical purposes, council would like them to go honor what they said before.
Mayor?
Ms. Bell?
Yeah, this should not be. Can we, since they're coming to us for approvals, can we legally hold up anything for them until they get this corrected?
They may even ask Richard, but for practical purposes, Isabel.
I really don't know what they're coming to us for, but depending upon what they're
need to fix
looking at us for. But certainly I think the first step should be that I think the manager's office should contact them and tell them that they're citizens in the city and they need to operate like citizens and solve the problem. And that I believe, my recollection is that there were representations on the record when this, maybe I'm wrong, maybe you can correct, that there were representations that they were going to sod this.
Well, the other thing is they built the fence, which was requested and all that, and now they've made it impossible for me to rectify the situation without tearing up my entire front yard to come through with, or dump dirt in my front yard and wheelbarrow it back to my backyard.
Yeah, I'd have to review the transcript, but does anybody else have that recollection that they...
I mean, it goes back to sitting with Steve Shiver, who's been their representative, coming up to me and saying, yeah, we're going to take care of that. And that was a month ago, and then Steve said his hands are tied, he can't do anything about it now. So without going and digging up the...
Let us follow up on it.
I appreciate it. I mean, Rick has done all that he can do, and I think maybe we do a little more leverage from somebody, and I know you guys are doing all you can do, but we just need to call them out in the public on it, I think, and see if we can get this resolved the right way.
I think we can do...
Mr. Mayor, we'll make an effort from my office to...
And I appreciate it. I know everybody, you guys have a lot of other things, and
that's fine.
But it's a big expense for each house over there to go and resolve the problem. And the way that they've left it to us, it's even going to be a bigger expense because everything's going to have to come through our front yards, and the majority of the yards are fenced, and there's no way to get equipment back there to do it or anything now. So I appreciate it, and I know all my neighbors do too. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Yes, Joe Nangus of East Lake Corner Council. Also on the same issue that John was talking about. This happened back in June of last year because I came up here and negotiated with the deal for this. And I even had it on videotape too. So, but yes, they negotiated that they would build the berm up there, put in the fence, some shrubs, this and that. And we met a couple times with them. And all they've done is just put up the fence now and they left a mess back there for the homeowners. And they've run off. And we appreciate if there's something that the council can do for us. On the other issue too, I've called numerous times to the code enforcement about Kingman Road. The median down there, they cut the lawn parts of it. The grass is growing up really high in the center on the median down there. Also, there was some trees damaged during the storm in the median. And there's big dead branches hanging up there that are going to come down sooner or later. And I hate to see them come down on someone's car. I really appreciate it. I've talked to code enforcement several times, left messages. Nothing's getting done. And I appreciate if there's something can be done about that. And we'd also like to know when we're ever going to get a light on Kingman and Campbell. Thank you.
We'll check into it. We appreciate you bringing it to our attention. Any other public comments?
Mayor, can you let Mr. Blair respond? Because we've been working on that light at Kingman and Campbell for almost 2 years now.
Yeah, that is correct. As a matter of fact, just to bring everybody up to date, the bid for the project was awarded on July 12th. They had a 14-day process period, which is over now, and now the county is basically working with the winning bid going through the insurance papers and all that to finalize so they can go ahead and give their notice to proceed to get that light on, get the light installed on Kingman and Campbell. Joel Guilfoyle, 3075 Southeast 7th Place. I'd just like to comment too on that Kingman Road. The other day, a dump truck turned over and on Maui and Kingman, and it held traffic for about a half hour. But right as that traffic situation was being handled, other dump trucks were speeding down Kingman. And when you come to Kingman and Campbell, there's two lanes. One is a right turn only, and the other is a left turn. And we get a lot of dump trucks and cars to get in the right-hand lane, and they don't want to wait for the person in the left-hand lane to make a left-hand turn, so they turn at the same time. And this is very hazardous, and I would feel sorry for the person in the left-hand lane if all of a sudden a dump truck comes over on them. And due to Publix is being built there and there's a lot of traffic with dump trucks, I personally would like to see some kind of enforcement and some kind of help for the people trying to get out of Kingman and Campbell, and especially in the left-hand turn. Since this light issue is becoming a joke, we need some help down there, because somebody's going to get hurt seriously if somebody isn't already hurt. But these dump trucks are going very fast, and I sure wouldn't want to be in the way of one of them. So I would appreciate if something could be done, maybe some kind of traffic control officer or something during the times that it's really busy, and do something to slow these dump trucks down. The only other thing I'd like to comment on is that fountain is disgusting, and it's on Kingman and Campbell, and it's a cesspool for mosquitoes and everything else. And I wish something could be done about that.
The silence, Mayor, I'll step in here in a second. I'll Al was taking notes on that. We'll have the traffic unit do some monitoring. I know those trucks can get out of hand.
Mayor, I was going to request that as well. With school starting for most of the schools next week, it's going to be really hectic for people in the morning. So if we could have an officer, especially next week in the early hours, people getting to work are going to have a real hard time.
So we'll work with the police department to work up a traffic enforcement. Now in the pond, I'm not sure who's...
Well, I don't know who it belongs to.
That. I think there's just about any knowledge right now, but...
well, the fountain is a breeding ground for mosquitoes, and we're told as citizens not to leave containers open with water, and that's a very large container of open water that's filthy. Well, is that... it's an eyesore. You come in, it's an eyesore.
It's not Keys Gates.
It's not Keys Gates. You know who it is?
It's whoever owns the property.
We'll have to research that and find out who we can get to do something with it.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know who owns it right now, so I'm talking to you. Mr. Guilfoyle. I'll have to find out.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor. Mr. Porter. Mr. Manager, let me ask a question with regards to the dump trucks. And DOT has its own enforcement issue, their own police enforcement of the heavy trucks. Can we reach out to them as well? Because I see them occasionally pulling these units over and citing them in addition to what the police department could do. Maybe get them to help us out at the same time.
We can look at that.
Well, I mean, they have their own enforcement as well.
And see if we can get them out.
See if we could reach out a little bit.
Yes,
Mayor.
Yes, Ms. Bell?
I think also over there by the, off of Kingman, that not only should we have some units there at least the first week of school on early morning, but also at dismissal, because it's going to be absolutely crazy on dismissal as well. So I think we should cover both times. Also, I've alerted the officers, and they pretty much are aware, but the shopping center site that's in the villages of Homestead, there's a child care place, and there's a little eatery, and then like a little convenience store. It's a huge hangout in the first couple weeks of school for Homestead Senior High kids. And I believe they've been, I'll have to check with them, but they were talking about enacting uniform policy, so if they haven't, I'm afraid there's going to be lots and lots of teenagers hanging out over there. So if we could drive by there and let them see a police presence, I think that would be a good idea as well.
Oh, sorry about that. The school board police, they have units that's supposed to cover within 1,000 feet of the school. We'll work with them on that, but what we're doing too, we're taking our community police officers. Well, the school was yesterday, but we got our police officers taking care of that as well. But they have supposed to have 2 units at the school, and they have roving units. And I know that because my son is one of them. But anyway, yeah, they're taking care of that problem. I talked to him about that this morning, so he's going to help me out with that as well.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Thank you. Mr. Manager, I want to ask Mr. Brea, do we have a handle on what the now projected time frame is for the light at Kingman and Campbell?
Well, once they get the notice to proceed, it'll probably be like 3 months to completion. That's the standard for...
Okay, with that answer then, and I understand this is through the county traffic bureaucracy, would it be helpful, advisable, or timely to go have that made a 3-way stop pending the installation of a light before a carload of kids and their mother gets splattered, or somebody gets splattered at that intersection with the dump truck traffic and the impatience there at Kingman and Campbell, particularly during the morning and afternoon hours, could the traffic bureaucracy move quickly enough? Do you think that would make a difference?
I'll call first thing tomorrow morning and find out.
Hey,
but yes,
as long as I'm sitting here, something's got to give. Clearly, traffic on Campbell is not going to otherwise yield to the people who are trying, particularly to make the left-hand turn to go to the turnpike. It's not going to happen. It's a short-term situation, and it's clearly for safety. And while I've got you, do we talk about the debris or potential debris on Kingman and the median? Whose responsibility is that?
Well, right now...
the maintenance of the median and the landscaping.
That's a good question. In the past, it was the responsibility, I believe, it was the developers that were cutting that median. What I mean by developers, I mean the Keyscape community, I think, was handling that. Right now, as a matter of fact, I think Parks and Recs Department was trying to find out if there was some sort of agreement and what that agreement was to see who's responsible for that median.
To your knowledge, not one of our contractors?
No, it is not one of ours, no.
Okay, good. Thank you, Mayor.
Real quick, if I could just tell you, Keyscape did it all the way down to the road out of the HOA annual budget, paid for all the road maintenance over there on the medians. And since developers had taken over the properties and stuff, as they took them over, we kept pulling back until we got closer to Keysgate. And since then, no maintenance has really been done on them at all. But that's what the history on them was, that we paid for it out of the Keysgate Homeowners Association. And then as the properties were sold, even though we didn't own all the way down to there, we just kept pulling back and leaving it to the developer, whoever bought that general area, to take care of it.
They never did sod it or anything. It's just, wow. Weeds.
All right, Mr. Manager, any business?
I have none other than Mr. Jim Albright here is our internal auditor, his first council meeting, and he's on board now. So.
Jim, would you stand?
First, I guess he's still here. Yeah.
Well, the audience is our new internal auditor. His first day on the job.
Yeah, we always have a way of initiating these people on their first day at lengthy council meetings.
I hope you're coming back tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Mr. Vice Mayor, anything else?
Well, it's Councilman Hodges' turn.
Oh, Councilman Hodge.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to announce and to the community public that our next meeting will be a good time to tune in. And it's kind of timely because on Mr. Porter's agenda, we have something that we're looking at, and that's dealing with the
insurance and making it affordable for our citizens. I actually invited the all-state lobbyists for the state to come and do a presentation for us next meeting, and maybe educate our citizens on some of the laws that they've been trying to push that will help with some of the insurance costs that we've all, the citizens, has been dealing with. So I just, invite everyone to tune in at the next meeting and listen, like Paul Harvey would say, to the other side of the story. That's it, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge. Mr. Vice Mayor?
Well, thank you. Since it's been such a hard night, on a lighter note, I'll say I certainly enjoyed, as I know many city employees did today, lunch for the soft opening, the practice opening at Chili's, and what a fine addition to our community, more choice in dining, and I know the staff there was really working hard to get it out and get it right. And I want to commend them and encourage the community. I asked the couple of people there, and the official opening is this Thursday. So, everybody out there, run down to Chili's and make them work hard Thursday and Friday night and this weekend. I wanted to say to my council colleagues, we had a second reading on the extension of the Northwest Moratorium early tonight. I'm confident that we're going to find funding to put that together. And it occurred to me that based upon some of the inquiries we've had from developers, that probably, Ms. Garner, I'm going to be asking, that we're going to have to publicly notice maybe a code meeting and begin putting together ideas that are going to provide for apartment to condo conversion in Homestead. Certainly may not be able to hold the line and just say no forever, and probably need to start being more proactive based upon some meetings I've had in order to find that middle ground such that we can be cutting edge on apartment to condo conversions without fostering these tiny units that some of the apartment dwellers suffer. So those are some of the things that are going to be back on our plate in the coming months. That's all I have at this time, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Councilman Porter?
Thank you, Mayor. As you all noticed, there's been a resolution that's been brought to our attention from the Dade League of Cities. And basically what this resolution does is encourage, or actually request, that the state do an immediate special session to address the crisis that we're all facing with the insurance industry as it pertains to windstorm. And the league has taken this on and has asked any of the municipalities affected, which is everyone, to take this into consideration so that we could send this back to the state and encourage something to happen. I know they took this up late in the session last year, so late that they couldn't do anything with it. The governor, I understand, is waiting for the legislature to admit that they would do something if there was a session that could be called. So if the council wants to entertain that, we can entertain it now. If not, we can entertain it at a future council meeting when everyone has an opportunity to read over it. I apologize for getting it so late. The meeting was Thursday night, and by the time I got down here, I believe Sheila had pretty much prepared everything. So it's the will of the council that just basically asked for a special session.
I'll be happy to move it.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Mayor, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Also, one other point that a lot of times the community asks about what's going on at Homestead Miami Speedway, and we've been talking back and forth. They have a new marketing person, and a lot of times I get asked, well, what's going on? So I ask them to send some information to me so that we can, on occasion, read it out to the public. And there's 3 points that are coming up at the track so that you'll know if you're interested. On August 13th and 14th, they'll host a Porsche BMW Owners Club, which is a driving school, racing school. There's over 125 South Florida car enthusiasts will be at the track for 2 days of racing on the road course, 2.21 mile. If you're interested in becoming a member, you can call the Speedway, or if you just want to go out and see the show, there's absolutely no cost to the spectator. On August 12th and 13th at the Speedway in the main parking lot out front, There's go-kart racing. There's about 100 drivers from around South Florida that participate in this go-kart championship series. There is no admission, and you can, for $10, get a paddock pass to go inside into the pit area. Also, on the 18th and 19th, the Richard Petty driving experience is going on at the track. There's roughly 260 out-of-town participants that come from all over the country, Missouri, Ohio, Georgia, South Carolina. They're scheduled to race those 2 days. Local residents that are interested in participating can go out. Obviously, there will be a charge for that. But 260 out-of-town folks coming in on 2 days, so there is an impact that we're seeing on a day-to-day basis, and I encourage the Speedway to continue to get that information to us so that we can at least post it maybe on our website or read it out here on the council dais so that anyone's interested. And basically, Mayor, that's it. I just very, very fruitful meeting, a lot of information. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Councilwoman Bill?
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I wanted to comment on the FMEA conference. It was wonderful. The speakers were outstanding, and last year I think that the FMEA, which is the Florida Municipal Electric Association, the speakers, they just outdo themselves every single year, and they're very, very, very good and walk away with a lot. As well as the workshops. And not only I was going to congratulate Chief Full, but I think we've congratulated him enough tonight. So the day after Chief Full was honored, I went up to honor Ramon Ferrer of FP&L. He won the Tropical Miami Civitan Club's Man of the Year. And so I went up there to present a proclamation on behalf of the City Council and the Mayor and the City Council, and he was absolutely beside himself and delighted, and he must have thanked me 15 times for us, and then after that he emailed me a thank you. So Ramon is just absolutely delighted, and I can't think of another great man he just really deserved this. He's very community involved, very civic minded as well, not only in tropical Miami area, but in the city of Homestead as well. So congratulations to Ramon Ferrer. Also, Councilman Hodge, a sign unveiling ceremony, very nice, very, very well done, a very good addition to the community as well. The Miami-Dade League City, the dinner was wonderful, and I also had lunch at Chili's today as well. Was back in town only for about an hour before I had to run over there, and really they did a good job. They definitely are practicing on us. I must tell you, they're definitely practicing on us, and we were very kind to them with the many different forgetfulness, but they were very good. The food was wonderful, and I think that is a great asset to our community as well. I want to give a special thanks to Sergeant Kelly Sullivan with Miami-Dade Police Department, Detective Peter Carasilio, Detective Valentin Gomez, as well as many of the City of Homestead police officers. And I had a situation that was kind of serious, and it had to do with my safety. So these detectives and our Homestead PD really stepped up, and I don't want to go into details because I don't like airing things in public, but I really wanted to just to be able to say thank you to them. Top-notch work, really, really good, and things I think are pretty calm now, so I think we can call off the dogs. But thank you very much to the City of Homestead PD, and thank you so much to, again, Sergeant Kelly Sullivan, Detective Peter Carasilio, and Detective Valentin Gomez. And as I was talking to the sergeant and these two detectives, he said, I called him up and I said, I want to say thank you to you publicly. And he goes, really? And I said, yes, really. He said, the firefighters, and this is so true, everybody loves the firefighters, but not everybody loves the police, because the police are there very often when the situation isn't too good. And so I just want to commend our PD. I want to commend the police officers out there. Just very, very, very well done. Very professional, I must say. And also, so many people have left the council. A lot of, for a lack of another word, supporters have left already. I want to say thank you. I am overwhelmed with the public support. Mayor, I am just overwhelmed. We have a really great city with a lot of really, really great people. And since I was being personally sued by Mr. Munns and the Redland Company for speaking out on your behalf, basically, I really want to thank you for your support. I am just amazed. The calls, the support, sitting in a restaurant, someone coming, sitting down next to me and giving me a hug and a pat. I'm really amazed. I didn't think it would extend quite that big and that large and that many people. And I got a lot of comments on last Tuesday night's meeting, and there was a lot of disappointment from the community on some of the things that were said and some of the things that happened. But I just want to say it's okay for now, and I will have my day to make my public statement, and boy will I. So thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilwoman Bell. Councilwoman Garner, left. Want to officially appoint the 5 members of the Mayor's Youth Council. The motion for approval?
Motion.
Moved by the Vice Mayor, second by Councilman Hodge. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And also like to announce that we have an opening for the new General Employee Pension Board. For the General Employee Pension Board, there's an opening, and if you're interested, would you submit your resume to the clerk's office? And we also have an opening in the New Historic Preservation Board. And again, if you're interested, please give your resume to the city clerk. I too had an opportunity to test the food at the new Chili's on Sunday evening, and very, very impressive. I've asked the manager to consider having a ribbon cutting on Thursday morning, and he said he would. I want him to call.
We're out of town.
That's right, you are
We're out of town. Don't do it yet. Don't do it yet.
I'll be here with you, man.
Okay, good.
That's just wrong. That is wrong.
Well, they're going to publicly open on Thursday around 10:30, and just, I think it'd be nice if we could show up and cut the ribbon.
Yes.
But we'll miss you guys, but we'll do it on Thursday morning anyway. I want to just again thank Vice Mayor Losman for all that he's doing. When you think about the time and effort with the charter review and then with this 1993 agreement, and the manager for the countless number of hours, and it certainly reduced the phone calls that I get about him, so I really appreciate what you guys are doing. But I think we're at a stage now with this 1993 agreement. I compliment Councilwoman Bell and Mr. Porter and others that talk about the need to now create jobs in this community. And that Park of Commerce is a gold mine to do just that, to create good, high-paying jobs for the people of the city of Homestead. So I'm looking forward to finalizing that 1993 agreement one way or the other and bringing in the industries that we need there to make those jobs possible for the people here. So again, thank all of you for working hard each and every day for the people of Homestead. Thank you all for coming out this evening.